landlords has been, persecuted and to push away from their lands. They lose their land. Some even lose their lives. And start their campaigns, every few years, in mainland China, there's a different kind of campaigns. After that, there's, they also have like a cultural revolution. You heard about that, and they also have recent a few years there's a persecuting for Catholic Christians.
Yeah.
They also persecuting Tibet, a group. They also persecuting Falun Gong practitioners, and they also actually it is a one party dominated for China, and there's no freedom for speech. There's no freedom for religions. Okay, the very concern for most of the Chinese people is most Chinese people do not have a human rights.
Yeah.
The human rights violation get worse and worse, and that's the reason people are really concerned about that. When you visit China, it looks like economy booming, but the money does not go to the people. The money go to the top people, because they control everything.
Yeah.
And that's what most people concerned, and and they wasn't able to get it on the internet freely. If you went to China, you went to Google search for that. That's a Google China.
Yeah.
It is a different from here.
The Chinese version is very different from the English version.
Really?
Yeah, so you search Falun Dafa in English, all the good things come up first. But when you Google it in Chinese, all the slanders come up first. It's like it's the whole search engine is redesigned to fit the Chinese regime's needs. So it's very sad.
If you turn the TV on, it's all government monitors census program. If you read the newspaper is the same thing. And as Chinese in Americans, I went to Chinatown. If I purchased the newspaper, all those newspaper except one newspaper is called the Ipoh Times. They are actually founded here. They can speak something freely, but the other four Chinese newspaper, they are all censored by the Chinese regime. And the problem is, so even the Chinese people here, they don't get the fully truly news of what happened in China. So you can imagine the people in mainland China, they really don't get the really news. All they listen, they watch, they heard, all this what government wanted to hear. And that's the reason as a Chinese American here, and I'm really concerned, it's not right. The people should, freely listen to what they, what the truth, and they can make a decision. Not the government wanting to hear. That's the reason we are here. At least for me to be here. And also my friend. One of my friend is an MIT student. Okay, her name is Sherry. Sharon Young. Her mother. Practiced the exercise for Falun Gong in mainland China. Her mother was arrested. Right now, still in the labor camp. So this is a really true thing. So a lot of people say, well, I visit China. It seems very nice and peacefully, but that wasn't the truth. The truth is, they cover up. They don't let the people know about. So even the people in mainland China, some people, most of the Chinese people, when they read those, propaganda Chinese newspaper, they don't know the truth. A lot of Western medias, they do not report it because they when they visit China, they will show them what's going on, And one of my another friend called Charles Lee, he's a doctor. He actually, went to China, and he was arrested at the Guangzhou airport, and he was, put in the jail for 3 years. He was released back to United States. So he told us how much he was suffer, in the jail because they they put the different methods, and they force him to give up, and that what he believes. So these a lot of things happen, and we also know like 2 years ago, and a lot of people, and they still alive, but their organ was harvested, and that's shock to everybody. And this is happening quite a lot, a lot of people missing in China, and because when they put in the labor camps, and then their family couldn't find it, and now since 2001, if you went to the website, you still probably can find it. You can purchase a live organ in one or 2 weeks, some up to a month. You know how hard to get kidney, from Mass General Hospital. It probably 4 or 5 years you couldn't get the live organs. But in China, if you go to the website, you can get a kidney, in 2 or 4 weeks. It's unbelievable. To have an organ available to be live, to match the people's, the blood type, you need to have how many of the organs there to ready for that. So that's the reason. So as a Chinese American, I was concerned. So many things happen, and what's the bad things. I'm not saying who's right, who's wrong. But as a government, what the people really want is they respect the basic human rights. That's most important. The people, we don't ask too much. We just ask you, respect the people. It doesn't matter. It's a Chinese people, it's a Tibet people, it is American people, or it's European people. Respect the people, and that's the basic. So as a Chinese American, that's what I want to see. What happened, and especially when the Olympic comes, what the Olympic is for. It's respect. The freedom and the spirit. That's the whole spirit. Yeah.
I think it's so important to hear
Yes.
the Chinese American voice because so many people don't understand. They want to say China is bad on human rights, but there are so many people in China, and it's important to hear your voice to say there are many Chinese people who do want to respect human
Right.
rights.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people do.
As Americans, we have to be careful not to put all Chinese, as you hear people say, the Chinese. It's the Chinese Communist
The
Party.
Communist Party. Yes.
It is
you're
not
right.
the Chinese in
No,
general.
but
In
a
fact,
lot of Chinese also do not get the whole
They don't
picture.
get the story,
Yeah, the
yes.
story, because all the information they receive is from the government. So if the government can respect the human rights, they will open up. They will their people, to know what's going on in the whole world. And the people can make a decision. That's the most important. People can make a decision, not the government make a decision for them. The world is different now.
And were you born in China, or have you lived in China?
I was
Chinese-American.
born in Taiwan, but I went to China. I went to China, because my ancestors came from China.
Okay.
I was the group of people, during the Civil War in China, the communists in the Taiwan, my father was sent to Taiwan, but they never able to go back. So that's what's a sad story. So I have relatives in mainland. I have relatives in Taiwan, but I actually have more relatives. When I went back, I have like 82 relatives in mainland. So I took a picture of them. But the sad thing is, because the cultural gaps, so we are different now, yeah. But they are still my relatives. It's just like they are, the way they are thinking are the difference, When I went back, I look at them, I feel bad because a lot of things they don't know. When I tell them, they really don't know. It's very sad thing, Because like here in American, I can get all the information, I need it. But over there, a lot of things they don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your name?
Oh, my name is T like a Tom. Okay, T-E, and C-H-E-N is my last name.
Oh,
C-H-E-N. T
just
is my
T.
first name, yeah. And C-H-E-N is my last name, yes.
And where do you live now?
I live in Linfield, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing that you would go to China and you would know so much more about what's happening in China as
But
an
they don't
American.
know. Yeah,
I
they
know.
don't know.
I mean, I think that's such a hard concept for us
it
to
is.
realize.
Yeah. Oh, I think
go.
they're going to start it.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt when you're reading.
Human Rights Watch, United Nations, all indicate that persecutions have continued with severe persecution of religious groups, increased illicit organ transplants, oppression of political figures and groups, and continued suppression of the press, journalists, and lawyers. In addition to these crimes against humanity in the country of China, as well, the Chinese government has supported totalitarian regimes of Burma and Darfur. In light of this, the Coalition to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong, a group of humanitarian doctors, lawyers, government officials, nonprofit groups, and concerned individual citizens, initiated the Human Rights Torch Relay in August 9th, 2007. The torch has since that time traveled through Europe, Great Britain, Africa, Israel, Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, South America, Central America, and today reaches the eastern shores of the United States in Boston with a rally at 12 o'clock on Boston Common. We bring this torch to you to bring light on these sufferings of these people in persecuted groups. Our hope is that by bringing this light to the United States as it travels across our fruited plains off our purple mountains, that it will raise hope for those who suffer so severely in these countries. We thank you for joining us today and hope that you remember that never is oppression, persecution, and genocide a human right. I'd like to introduce Muriel Kramer, the chairwoman of the Hopkinton Board of Selectmen, who will light the torch for our torchbearer, Paul Guzzi, who will be joined on our first team of relay runners by Sarah O'Brien and Elena Viner.
Thank you all for being here. One of the signs that caught my attention is speak up for human rights, stand up for freedom. And truly, human rights and freedom is the great human cause. And one of the most difficult challenges is to keep the focus and keep the attention on the issues and the problems and the abuses that continue today. So I thank you all for doing your part to improve the situation of all of our brothers and sisters across the world by bringing attention to this situation in China and by extension the situation in other places in the world. And I wish you all the best.
Couple of days. moi, excuse me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just stand up, put it over your head. Hold you.
So sorry.
Chúng ta đã đi chung vào với các bạn có gì để lại nữa. Tiếp tục đi chung với các đoàn thể bạn. Chúng ta đi chung với các đoàn thể bạn.
The torch is arriving at Parkman Bandstand. Let's give them a big hand. Ironman Paul Guzzi has carried the torch on the Boston Marathon route. And it's a beautiful day for everyone who believes in freedom. Do you believe in freedom? Do you believe in liberty? Do you believe in justice? Thank you, everybody, for coming today. Paul will light the torch for Councilman Mike Ross and Senator Edward Augustus for Maine and for Boston. And now the goddesses will light the torch. We are going to be lighting the torch for every state in America. This light, this flame, this hope will travel out through all of America. Torch of freedom, the flame of hope, and the light of justice. We're lighting for all 50 states: Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, the great state of Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington. The torch has been lit for all of America.